Potter is one of the most widely known book and movie series, appealing to kids and adults of all ages. And while it's not a science fiction series, it is a fantasy series with many magical elements that can be explained or replicated by science, including apparition, levitation and flying on broomsticks, and invisibility. First, let's talk about apparition and flue powder in Harry Potter, which is similar to what you might think of as teleportation. There's a lot of research currently being done by scientists to explore the possibility of teleportation in real life, and scientists have even managed to teleport entire atoms and gases from one place to another, using a method called quantum teleportation. However, if this same method were used for apparition with entire humans, we would actually need two entangled clones of yourself. But if this method did work, it would give us an explanation for splinching, which is when a part of your body isn't apparated completely with the rest of your body. Often, if quantum teleportation is not perfect, you may accidentally teleport half the original copy, or a distorted whole, just like splinching. Also, flue powder may be a mechanism used by wizards to store the information to be teleported. Theoretically, to teleport, you would need 10 to the power of 32 bits of information. Flue powder could consist of quantum dots, or crystals of silicon that can hold all this information. If one bit of data was stored in each dot, you would need a lot of flue powder, a cube around 300 feet on each side, but it could work. Another magical element of the series that could be explained by science is levitation and flying. Levitation is a huge part of magic in Harry Potter, from a simple Wingardium Leviosa to flying on broomsticks and playing Quidditch. Now, according to Earnshaw's theorem, levitation should be impossible using stationary magnets. However, a toy called the Levitron, which was very popular in the 90s, proved that levitation could be possible using rotating magnets. The Levitron was basically just a spinning magnet that hovered above a repelling magnetic base, and this concept is basically what scientists are using to explore levitation today. Perhaps the most impressive advancement in levitation technology was made in 1997 by a scientist named Andre Geim. Geim created a machine that allowed him to levitate a living frog up to 2 meters up a cylinder. Just like the Levitron, Geim used tiny rotating magnets to create the magnetic field that lifted the frog. Now, you may be wondering how a magnetic field managed to lift a frog when magnets usually attract and repel metals. To understand this, we have to first understand that there are several types of magnetism. Earnshaw's theorem rules out levitation with paramagnetism and ferromagnetism, which are the kinds of magnetism that we usually associate with magnets and metals. Diamagnetism, on the other hand, is the kind of magnetism that can attract all sorts of objects. Frogs, humans, metals, anything. Basically, all matter is composed of atoms that have negatively charged electrons inside of them that have the power to create tiny magnetic fields. If a magnetic field distorts the electron's orbits, it can create a tiny net electric current, which can actually create a repelling magnetic force. These repulsive diamagnetic forces push the fields apart, which can cause an object to levitate. Interestingly, scientists found that the natural pose for riding a broomstick is actually the best posture for magnetic levitation. But you wouldn't actually need a broomstick at all, and you would have to be inside a giant, extremely powerful magnetic field. But it's possible that there's a huge electromagnetic field surrounding Hogwarts, allowing things to levitate and fly. And this could actually be another reason why the books mention that Muggle electronics don't work around Hogwarts. Finally, with Harry's invisibility cloak, Ron's invisibility booster on his flying car, and Mad-Eye Moody's well-cast disillusionment charm, the ability to disguise people and objects has proved to be extremely important throughout the Harry Potter series. To understand how invisibility could work in real life, we have to understand how light waves travel. Now, solids are usually opaque because their atoms are very tightly packed together, so light waves are unable to travel through them. But liquids and gases have atoms that are far more spaced apart, so light waves are able to travel through the gaps in the atoms, making them transparent. So, to make something invisible, we have to find a way to stop the light waves from bouncing off of the atoms, and instead allow them to travel through the atoms or flow around them. One way to do this is to use metamaterials, which are basically materials that were engineered by scientists to have properties that you can't normally find in natural materials. In 2006, scientists were able to create metamaterials that could manipulate electromagnetic waves so that objects were invisible to microwave radiation. To do this, they implanted tiny electrical circuits in copper bands that could alter the path of microwaves and cause them to flow around the cylinder, making the cylinder invisible to microwave radiation. According to the research already done on metamaterials, in order to create a cloak of invisibility like Harry's, we would actually need tiny structures inside the metamaterial that are smaller than the wavelength of the radiation. For example, green light has a wavelength of 500 nanometers, so in order to create a metamaterial that's invisible to green light, we would need internal structures that are only 50 nanometers long. Metamaterials for visible light are extremely hard to make because these internal structures have to be so tiny, but many scientists are currently working on this issue, and some have even managed to create metamaterials that are invisible to red light. In the future, scientists will be working on creating metamaterials that can bend light in 3 dimensions, and also metamaterials that are able to bend many frequencies of light. If this is achieved though, the final product is most likely going to be a solid cylinder and not a cloak like Harry's. If true invisibility isn't possible though, it may be more feasible to create a device that simply camouflages, like the disillusionment charm in Harry Potter. One scientist has managed to create a screen-like cloak that takes a video of the background and projects it onto the cloak, giving the illusion that you are seeing right through the object covered by the cloak. However, to make this more realistic and three-dimensional, we would need a little bit more advanced holographic technology. So, in conclusion, we may not have magic, but we do have science, and that seems to be coming pretty close. Apparition may be possible in the future using quantum teleportation. Magnetic fields that take advantage of diamagnetism could allow us to levitate objects or play Quidditch, and metamaterials or holographic screens could render us invisible. Over time, as science gets more and more advanced, technology seems even more far-fetched, and magic seems even more realistic, so the fields of science and magic may be merging sooner than we think.